like your suit of armor for your spinal cord. And when it's not healthy, this can produce pain and various other symptoms. As a chiropractor, I've helped thousands of people go from unhealthy to healthy and pain-free by simply improving the health of their spine. If you're living with chronic pain, or if you feel like you're dragging yourself across the finish line every day, set up a consultation to learn more about how we can help. You can book online at 603chiros.com or call 603-935-5478 and set up your consultation today. Don't put your health on hold. It's your greatest asset. Visit 603chiros.com today.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
I have a present for you.
You do?
I do.
Okay, I'm excited. All right. Am I going to cry?
No. No, you're going to be like, I wanted this.
Oh my gosh, yay. I just slapped the mic too. Oh, look how
So she always talks about wanting my emerald ring, and I tell her I
Yes.
always see a costume jewelry version of it at the store, and I saw one, so I bought it for
Yes,
her.
thank you. I can't get it out.
It's okay if you don't wear it
love
today.
I love it. What a gorgeous, I love it, jewelry.
And random thought for this week. When,
Oh God, I have
do you remember back in the day, it was if you wanted to refer to a person, but you didn't want to call them out by name, you gave them like a little, like a handle. Like, so you could refer to someone as like sexy spouse instead of a spouse name, or, you know, destruction instead of your 2-year-old or something. Did you ever do that? Did you ever like nickname people?
Yes. So I was just thinking about it. So when the kids were younger, and I don't know if this is the same thing that you mean or not, but when the kids were younger and Chris was being grouchy and stuff, and we would call him Snickers for like a bad mood. It just meant a bad mood, so it was kind of code under the radar.
Yeah, that nobody else outside the family would know that it's technically a bad mood, but it's a bad mood.
Yes. And Richard was always one, because you know what
The short name for Richard is.
Yes.
I had a supermarket guy, a manager, and his name was Dick. That's the, name he chose for Richard. And so whenever I was mad, I would say the sentence and then say Dick for his name. And he was like, I don't like the way you're saying that. And I'm like, it's your name. Who chooses that for a name? Go with Rick.
Right.
Go with Ricky.
Or Rich. Or Richard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was just like, I understand, Dick. And I couldn't get in trouble because his name was Dick. Go by Richard.
All right, Dickie Doo. Could you just put that in the bag for me?
But I never said his name in a sentence when I wasn't mad. But when I was mad, I always ended the sentence with his name.
Okay,
That
Dick.
was the 16-year-old fresh
Yes.
person in me. I still have that person today.
Well, I do too.
That person would still exist today.
I think that if we could just get into, the thought went right out of my head. I'm just loving my shoes.
I love your shoes.
I wish they would be, I wish they were a little bit more.
So I had a cat at 6
Pink.
who would never allow that much floating, feathery,
Yes. Stella would attack my
movement
foot.
on them. Yeah. If my cat, Angel, Bosco wouldn't attack them, but
But
my
I was
cat
running
Angel
down
would
the
attack them.
street and I was like, I was going to wear them today because it's kind of sunny out. There's no rain or
Supposed to be
anything.
50.
I know. It's like, I want to go for a walk. But I was like, I'm going to change my shoes because I don't want gutter trash.
Right.
Gutter sludge to get on my fur.
I love them. And these, I feel like, remind me of the 70s. The heel part of it reminds me of the 70s.
I love the chunky heel.
I do too. It makes me feel very stable.
I don't like the big, well, I mean, I do like the pointy ones too. I have a few that I feel like I could walk all day in, but the arch is right. But I like the chunky heel.
I like the chunky heel too.
I don't
and it's
like
got
the
a platform.
Big goth, the lug
Yeah.
heels.
I
with, like,
almost feel like these make me feel like I have Clydesdale hooves. You know, like I remember when I thought if I exercised enough, I would lose that part of my butt.
yes,
But no matter how skinny I got, I just got skinnier, but that part remained.
yes.
And I thought I kind of looked like a racehorse with the little tiny sticky legs on the bottom and then the big rump on the backside. And I was like, I don't think horses are necessary. Like, I think those horses are beautiful. It's just not a look I want for a human,
Well,
right?
I always feel like there's this one side, and I think it's because I stand on my right
Yeah.
leg. And usually, like when I'm cooking, I'll do, my flamingo stance.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. Your tree pose.
So then I try to do the other side because I feel like, I said to Chris, I'm like,
Am I making an anomaly?
I feel like my bum, it's supposed to look like this, just come around.
Yeah.
I feel like this one kind of comes in and this one kind of goes, "Broop." It's like it got shot with Novocaine and it just wants to slide a little bit. He's like,
We'll
"You're-"
work on that in the gym.
He's like, you're ridiculous. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I think it's just my body. I don't think it matters how many squats I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about my weight. It just doesn't go away. I
Yeah.
can do leg lifts.
I know, and so the point about the shoes is, well, now I feel like I have the Clydesdale look. So I have the big rumpus and then big feet.
Horseshoes.
Horseshoes.
I know. I know a lot of times when we're walking and I have boots on, I love the way they click. I love the sound on
Oh, I
the floor.
love the sound of
And
high
Chris
heels.
is like, man, you do sound like a horse. I
Yeah.
mean, I do walk hard. I mean,
Well, I've got to get where I'm going. If I can just, I even noticed, and I'm trying not to do this, when I'm walking through a parking lot, I tilt 100% forward, like I am moving with purpose. Like,
yes, I do. I think I lean forward.
yeah, I
because
lean
walk.
forward, and then I'm like, well, if I stand perfectly erect and I walk like this, what am I walking down a runway? Taking me 45 minutes to get from my truck to the storefront, to get the post office store.
Well, so when we were getting my elliptical, so I forgot the store that we went to. It was like Precept or whatever. Anyway, they fit you for it. Because I said, I've tried some at the gym and I don't feel like I can get a full stride in. And
Yep.
he's like, well, we've got different variations, so let's check your stride length. And I have like a 29.5 inch stride length.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's a big stride length. And I'm like, that's just my normal, I wouldn't say it's my mall stroll.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my mall shuffle. It's my just everyday walk. It's
Yeah.
not my, I'm going to do my 14-minute mile. It's just my regular walk. And he's like, for somebody so little, your legs are so short, how do you have such a long
Yeah.
stride?
I'm getting where I'm going.
He's like, bam. I'm like, well, I walk with purpose.
Yeah, I walk with purpose too. And I always walk quickly, like I'm in a rush, like it's cold out and I've got to get in out of the cold.
Yes. Yes. Especially because I don't want to be, well, I don't park near the front.
Yeah, I don't park near the front either.
I don't park near the front, and I always try to park so I don't have to back out.
Right.
And I don't mind walking, and I feel like, I don't mind getting the steps,
So this is
That's
something
my
that I
form of
always,
exercise.
yeah, I always felt that they were lying to us in women's health magazines because they would say, just park further away, just take the stairs. And I'm like, I've always parked further away, and I've always taken the stairs. And if you open up any men's magazine, they're not telling men
Right.
to just park further away
Right.
and take the stairs. They're telling them a whole nother set of
Right.
information so that they can hurry up and get fit with
Just
the rest
go-
of us.
Just go gentle, little
Yeah,
one.
yeah, they're telling us a whole set of lies.
All right, I have a question for you today.
Okay.
I want to say it the right way. Okay, so if you had to swap legs with an animal, what would it be?
If I had to swap legs with an animal.
So I know mine. So don't just any animal. Any animal.
Ooh,
I don't want to tell you mine yet.
okay.
Because mine's actually not legs.
Paws. I'm going to have paws.
Okay. Okay.
Bobcat. I would have a bobcat.
Okay. I would be a dolphin. I
Oh,
said it doesn't have to be
it
legs.
doesn't have to be
But I was
legs.
like, well, wait a minute. So I was
You would
thinking
have a
about
flipper.
Well, first of all, I thought I'd be a bird because I like to be light. I like that whole, fifth dimension. Oh, let's fly up there. And then I was like, I don't know. That's a lot of, I'm prey. I'm not, but a dolphin's not really a predator either. But I'm like, I like to fly, but I also love to swim. Then I thought a monkey, because then a monkey could swing. You swing from the treetops. But then I was like, wait, do I just get the feet? Do I don't
Right,
get the tail
I think you
and
just get
arms?
the feet. You just said the legs, so that's why it was specific of, but like, the reason why I was thinking bobcat is we have them in our yard, and they walk so that their back paws land where their front paws land.
Oh, yes.
So they've
yes.
this very graceful, and it's this perfect gait, and if they lift this, they know this goes exactly, and it helps them keep quiet, but they're so
true.
graceful.
Yes, they are
So
graceful.
that was my thought. I
Yes.
could stand to be a little bit more graceful. I could use
Me
just
too.
a little bit more grace as I tripped down the stairs the other day on my hardwood floor with my socks. I could use a little bit more grace.
Yeah, there's a spray cleaner that I use for the countertop, and sometimes if it gets down on the kitchen on the tile, and you've got socks on,
Yeah, and I don't know why we're detailing our trucks, and I don't know why they're using Armor All on
yeah.
everything. Armor All, I'm almost like I have to hold on because I could take a header.
yes,
Because everything is just one slippery
Yes.
surface.
well, half the time when I get in Chris's truck, I have to step up, but I've got my purse,
Yes.
I've got I
Keys,
usually
your-
have something, my phone in my hand, and I usually have a drink in my hand. So I need something. So a lot of times, I'll just step up, and I don't know why the
Floorboards.
no the
Running
step
board.
the running boards are there. I always step over it.
Oh no, I always step on the running board.
Well, in the Jeep too, it's so close, and I'd have the fold down. I used to have the fold down running board, and I would always step over, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Well, the one time that I did step on it and I armor all the mats, I stepped on the running board with my one foot and stepped in, and I'm like, whoop. I'm like, it's like, yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, this is why. And then you're like, see, the one time I do that.
But you find yourself, I'm trying to hurdle over the rail, and I'm like, just step on
Yeah,
it. It's
just step
there.
on it. They
It's
make it for a reason.
And then I get all, I was going to say a bad word.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we say piss?
I don't know. We can try it. See if we get a fine. See if WSMN gets mail.
Then they'll shut us down. Anywho, I step over it, but then I'm like, I'm trying to break my neck to try to get in. Then I'm mad and fussing, and Chris like, why don't you just use a running board? You could lean in and put that in the cup holder. I'm like, I know. I just don't
And I'm
want
just
to.
trying to do everything all at once.
Anyway, so I picked a dolphin because I'm like, well, shoot. If that's true, if I just get
And
the
I
tail,
love water.
does that make me a mermaid?
Yes.
I was like, dude, one and done.
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
I'd be a mermaid.
And I'll be stalking and murdering things in the yard. You'll be out in the surf.
I know, but what do mermaids eat?
Fish.
Do they eat fish? Oh, well,
Are they going to eat kelp?
yeah, I don't like kelp either, so
You're going to eat fish.
can get Cool Ranch Doritos.
I'll throw them from the boat. I'll throw them. Here, where is she? I'll lure her with Cool Ranch Doritos.
And mimosas. Just in the
Pour them
morning.
over the side.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh, so I was thinking that I might refer to John on the show no longer as John, but he might be sexy spouse.
I like that. I like that. So we have a few.
He's
I was
actually going to be
thinking about.
nameless from this point on.
It's probably a good idea that we don't use our family's names.
Maybe.
Could just be code.
Yeah.
I forgot what my other one was. You could be Lacey, and what was my Natasha?
Yeah. But well, we have to be known, but everyone else doesn't have
That's
to be.
true. That's true. Just keeping it. I
Yeah,
know.
so now everybody's going to be like, am I this? When I start using different names, is that me? I think that story sounds like me.
Well,
But it gives anonymity
yes, that's true.
for people who don't want to be.
So
on
I
radio.
still have on my phone, like, so sometimes I'll go and say, hey Siri, text Kayla. It doesn't come up because she's bugalicious.
Ah.
Talk about nicknames, because when she was little and she just looked so cute and pink, and her hair was like this little tiny, just black, just this little crown of dark. And she just had the rosiest little cheeks and like the reddest little lips.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom always called her Ladybug because she just all ball up and she just sweet. So then we called her Buggy, and then it was just, I don't know, Bugalicious.
And then once
I
you
don't
turn
know.
into a teenager, you need the Alicious.
Well,
in your name.
she was Bugalicious since she
Oh,
was
so
like
little.
probably like 5 or 6, and then it was Lishy Boo. It was just all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's kind of like pets. You name them a name, but then they have 55 different names.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, Stella is like Biddy. I don't even know why she's got Miss Biddy. Now lately she's been Mama. I don't know why. She's not
Yeah,
a mom,
she is.
but
I know she's not a mom because she looks like she could be pregnant at any moment. She's so round. Her belly is so. I just want to like stick my face
but
in
she
it.
just sachets and sways, and I'm like, you know your cat's personalities, but if you didn't, and I saw them on the street or they were somebody else's pet, I think that I could tell Milo is a boy and Stella is
Definitely.
very much a girl.
Definitely.
She's just so dainty but dude, when she gets that wild look in her eye, she is crazy. She scares me a little bit because she's full bore.
Yeah.
All in.
I know there are dog people who distinctly don't like cats, and I know there are animal people, and you should be an animal person. You shouldn't hate any animal.
Yes.
You know, all animals are fine. But when I think of a cat, I think, well, look at a lion on a prairie. Look at any wild cat, and then just take this, and you have this in your house.
Yes. Yes.
Given the opportunity, they would kill every day. You know, for a while I had an
Yeah.
outdoor cat called Mr. Bodingles, and I put a bell on him because he was just murdering everything. Everything. And one day, there were 2 birds. They looked like hummingbirds, but they weren't. They were a little bit bigger. And they were teaching their bird to fly, and he leapt up and ate the baby bird in one swoop.
Oh.
And the parents called for that bird. I had to shut the door, lock him in the garage because he was an outdoor cat at the time. And like I had to leave that side of the house because I'm like, I can't listen to them distress calling their
Yes.
baby, who my cat just ate for no reason because he's given food. So I was thinking, like, I love a serial killer. He was just, every day he would bring me a mouse or a rat. He was constantly killing birds, and that's why I put the bell on him to give the birds a little.
Give him a warning.
Yeah, but he was fast enough he wasn't sneaking up on the mice and the rats as much as he was just killing them.
Yeah.
The birds he was sneaking up on. So sometimes I'd watch him make his way from I'd be reading, and we'd be in the yard, and he'd be at one side, and I would watch him watch something. When it would turn around, he would do-do-do-do-do, and then pause, move, and then pause. And then right when he got close enough, I would wave my hand, and the bird would go, and he would look at me like,
Mom,
what are you doing?
hey, you are messing up my style. That reminds me, spring is coming, and we have got to take our wreath down.
Is it coming?
Come on, we've had a great winter as
We
far
have.
as like ice, ice. We've had snow, and it hasn't been messy piles
That's true.
everywhere. I mean, other than the parking lots. It hasn't gotten, I hate when it gets to the point where everything is brown, like the snow melts and you can still see some green. I'm cool with that. But we have to take our wreath down because we've got birds that
Living
nest
there.
at the top of it. So, for all of spring, you can't open the front door.
Yeah.
And then somebody's delivering. I need you to sign for this package. I'm like,
Go around side.
go around the back. Go back down. I'll meet you. We have baby birds.
My aunt has baby birds that live in her wreath every spring.
I don't mind it if it just weren't on the front door.
Yeah, because
And
then
we
you can't
just
use the front
it.
door.
Well, because it came in and Milo had it in his mouth. He had the baby in his mouth. Thank God it didn't die because I couldn't do
A murder.
Yes.
First thing in the morning.
And this is bad because I don't I don't know what I would do if I found a mouse in the house.
You pick it up by the tail
Uh-uh.
with gloves, and you throw it in the Ziploc baggie and throw it away. I'm very skilled at throwing away murdered things because Mr. Bodingles used to leave them. If you left your shoes out, he would leave them on your shoes. So that was your cue to not leave your
yes.
shoes out. And you would open the door, and it would be laid at your feet. I killed this for you. I love you. I love you so much.
So one time,
One less dead rat in your name.
so Jonah, my son was still in diapers, and we were outside, and they were putting on their rain boots, and I went to step into my rain boots, and there was something squishy down there, and so I dumped it out, and there was a little tiny mouse. I couldn't get it.
It was live.
No, it was dead.
Okay.
but it was still kind of squishy. And so I dumped it out of my boot, and I'm like, how am I going to get this out of the basement? So I got the shovel.
Gloves?
I do not want to touch it.
Not even with gloves?
I don't mind doing oral surgery. I don't mind doing surgery, opening, that stuff does not, but touching a dead animal,
Yeah, it is kind of gross.
I can't do it. We had a little baby mouse in our garage that had gotten out. I mean, it must have gone underneath the garage door, and it didn't have hardly any hair. Its eyes weren't open. And it's shaking, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Kayla puts it in a Tupperware bowl. We take it outside. I have a picture, and remind me, I'll post it on our page. We left it by a tree and kind of buried it around some like leaves and pine needles and stuff. And she's like, it's hungry. And so we left this little tiny thing of milk, a piece of bread, and a slice of cheese on it, and left it sitting by there.
It's too young.
But it is too young.
It's too young. It's not. It needs to.
But she's young too, and I can think that she's like something's gonna get it, and we leave it. And I'm like, we're gonna feed it. It's gonna get some food. We're gonna go for a walk. We came back from a walk. The cheese, the bread, and the baby is gone.
The baby's gone.
I think
Maybe a mother came and picked it up.
sent a picture, and Chris is like, literally, you made a mouse a cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. What else would they like? They like that on the cartoons.
It was more for my daughter than it was
for the mouse.
For the mouse.
Absolutely.
Like I'm hoping, and it was more of my getting rid of my own guilt.
Yeah.
Of like, I know that this animal's going to die, and it's probably going to be my fault because I didn't shelter it. But
Well, I've rescued a lot of things, and people don't have tolerance for my rescuing because I've found baby squirrels, and then I'm like, well, who takes a baby squirrel? And the minute it looks at you with the eyes, and it's a baby, it's like, oh,
I know.
well, now my day's ruined while I try to figure this out. I can't have a squirrel in my house. I have a cat, so I have to come up with something else. But I do.
know.
I'm a rescuer.
So when push comes to shove, I was a nanny. I was a nanny on the Cape, and the little girl that she was in the back seat. We were coming home from somewhere, and we were on the service road. And this car in front of me, I saw the bird hit his windshield. Well, I just saw something fly off, and he kept going. And I look, and there's this bird just flapping, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't walk away. I can't walk away from it. So we went back to the house, got a shoebox, and its one wing is just flapping, and it's squawking, and I'm like trying to shoo it into the thing, and I think I had a scarf or something, and I kind of just took the scarf with my hand and kind of scooped it, and I'm like, I'm panicked because it's flapping, and I'm like, it's fine. I've held baby chicks before. Rob, calm down.
Right. But you're matching the panic of the thing.
Yes.
That's panicked.
Yes. We have a trauma story too. Like one time.
All right, before you do trauma, you're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic every Thursday from 10 to noon on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live and on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So I know this kind of goes into a weird thing, but we wanted to talk about something that I feel like comes up a million times in my world.
Yes.
And when I was re-listening, I was doing some editing for Megan's episode. We had Megan Marini on, and it came up again there because she talked about addiction. And I was thinking how many people's addictions are not even conscious, they're just habits.
I think a lot more. I think it's a lot more than you think it is.
I think so too, because I think I do some things habitually that if I really stopped to evaluate why I was doing what I was doing, there's no other reason than I've just always done it. There's no actual good reason. Like I wouldn't be able to defend the reason for a real reason.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down. I was trying to find where I wrote it down because I was like,
And so when we talk about addiction, when you try to figure out something, if something falls in the addiction category, does it serve you or do you serve it?
Yes.
Does everything you do serve this thing? And I immediately look at the phones. Our society serves the phone.
Yes. Yes.
Whether you're 2 or 82.
Why do you think it serves the phone?
Because
why do you think we serve the phone?
because it is overtaken our conversations with our spouses. You go to any restaurant, people aren't talking. Two people are across the table looking at a phone. Groups of young kids get together. They're sitting individually on their phone. The whole point is
But what are they going? What do you think is driving them to that? Why are you picking it up too? To me, I think it's validation.
a lot of it's validation, sure, because that's what the social media component of it is. But they're designed to be addictive,
Yes.
right? The reason why you stick money into a slot machine, even though you've lost 70 times, is the hope that
Yes.
a reward is coming.
Yes.
And it's random, so I don't know when it's going to be.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
have to
agree
keep
with that.
doing it because it's random. I don't know when I'm rewarded on random.
Well, but I think you also, the adrenaline rush,
Yeah.
especially if so gambling and the same slot machines versus even putting a post out there, you're hoping for positive feedback. You're hoping for that reward. Because at the end of the day, I've said it a few times, we all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. The thing I was talking, when you said master and slave, and I was like, what does that mean? Are we going to have enough conversation? Like, I don't know. And
So
then,
I always do it this way. I want to put a sticky that says master and a hand that says slave.
oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And the reason why I do it that way is sometimes when I look at my phone, I look at my hand as the slave. I look at me as the slave to this thing. And I can do it. I can put a donut in my hand. I am work. Work can go in that category. A relationship, you could be serving a relationship that never serves you back.
Yes.
That is just you. Everything you do is in service of this.
Yes.
It's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't come back. It's not equal.
It's feeding the instant gratification part of us, I think, in some ways. So when I started looking it up yesterday, thinking about what am I going to think about for master and slave? What does that mean to me? And so I just was just flipping through, looking up different things online, and until I hit something that it resonated with me. But when you said habits, so under one of the things I found under master or slave, habit becomes a mental program into the subconscious, and then we want to do it on autopilot. So it's if you can't learn to control your mind will control you.
Yes.
And so we're picking choices to make us feel better, is how I saw that. And I'm like, so what really does rule us?
Well, I don't know. I think if I look at my own life, I could evaluate a few things that I am serving them. But when I look back on, and how does it serve me? Because drug addiction, for example, we'll just pull drug addiction out, because it becomes a very predictable story, right? There's a very specific, when they used to have that program, intervention.
Yes.
It was because they would show the picture of the beautiful cheerleader, and then they would show where where this cheerleader is now. And you're like, oh God. But it's the same type of, you are serving, the only thing that you are doing is making sure that you are serving the drug so you can get high again, right? That's part of that. Now that can happen in anything, work. You could.
Overeating.
Even work. You're supposed to be with your family. You're not. Even though you're saying, well, I need to do this because I need to make money to pay for my family, right? But if it crosses a line where you don't have control over it, it is not also serving you. You are just serving it.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So food serves you. If
Well,
the
we
proper
use it,
food.
but so we use it as a tool.
Yeah.
We use it as, it's a tool that we have. So food is a tool. It's to nourish our bodies, but we use it as, a tool used the wrong way becomes a weapon.
Yes.
So we use food as a pleasure, a source of pleasure. So we're all running from pain, whether it's addiction, whether it's the stress at work, whether it's stress in our relationship that we go out on a date, we pick up our phones and we're going through the emotions, but we're not actively engaged. And it's kind of that thing, like once you have that kind of an awareness, like life is hard. Life is hard.
Very. The struggle is real.
Being addicted to overeating is hard.
Yes.
Because then it comes with, but dieting is hard. Taking care of yourself is hard work. But you know, when are you going to start doing something that actually serves you instead of harms you?
Yes, because I was thinking the other day I could have easily not worked out. Right? I hadn't worked out in a couple of months. It is so hard to go from nothing to something. And I could use work as the reason why I couldn't. I'm just very busy at work. You know, I'm just very busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Busy bee. There's always something to do. I'm going to die. It's all going to still be undone.
Yes.
Right, busy bee. And I said, that's how I'm not kind to myself. If my girl, if you called me and said, oh, you know, I should start working out again. I haven't worked out, but I have so much work. I would tell you, work out, you'll feel so much better. The work will always be there.
Yes.
But for myself, I could be like, oh, the work is so much more important. No, it's not. Your health is important.
Yes. Yes.
You know, the mental benefits and physical benefits you get from working out. And then I crack myself up because I work out 2 days in a row. I know I don't look any better. And I know technically I don't feel any better, but my mind feels better.
Yes.
It's like, okay, here we are. We're back into this. I know what this habit brings. I
feel
know
like you
how
have
good I
more
feel.
energy. It's just like the other day when I mean, I got to be honest. You're like, yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and we'll do that, and you're like 4 to 5 miles, and I'm like, that's like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, because we were going to hike. I gave you the option to work out in my dungeon, which has artwork. I don't know how dungeony it is. And decorations and all kinds of other stuff. But it's a dungeon.
It's a great workout space.
Yes,
it is
it
actually
is.
a great workout space.
Or we could go for a hike, and you were like, how long is the hike? I'm like, 5 miles. And you're like, that might take a few hours. And I was like, yeah, actually, that might take a few hours. Let's just work out in my basement.
And it's cold.
And it's cold.
But once I'm like, you know what? We're going to do it. I'm going to set an intention and do it. Because the other day, the sun was out, and it was beautiful, and I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. And just phone calls, just busy things, errands, running, and I didn't get a chance to do it. And it's like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what? It's still light outside. I am going for a walk. I put Milo in the stroller.
I love that she takes her cat for a walk.
And we went up around in the circle and came back down, and then I dropped him off, and I did another little loop. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold myself accountable to it. It's easy to give it up. But I felt so much better. And so then you called the next day and said, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it happen.
But you could also have working out that it's your master.
Yes.
You are turning everything on its head to chase something. Everything, even good, can control you. And then it becomes the bad.
Well, so weight was a master for me. I would say it still is a little bit.
You mean the number on the scale is your master? Okay.
Well, so
you would serve that.
So before I got pregnant, I thought like, oh my gosh, 114 I want to be 110. You know, we all want to be 110. Who doesn't? And I was like, I can't get rid of these 4 pounds no matter what I do. I'd walk. So anyway, I got pregnant. I gained 75 pounds. And I was like, I would hold up my jeans and I'm like, wow, what was I thinking? I finally could see myself from a different perspective. And then I had this number 120 stuck in my head forever. And I was like, nope, I got to be under 120. 120 is you're in a bad spot. I don't know why I told myself that. In my mindset at that time, I was thinking,
I'll tell you why, because they were advertising that the Victoria's Secret supermodels were 6 feet tall and weighed 115 pounds. And you're like, I'm 5'3", I have to weigh below that.
Yes.
Because how can they be that tall and weigh that?
Yes.
I'm this tall, I have to even be lower.
But just not knowing about, just, being ignorant to, it was just, you're in your 20s. We're dumb. We're dumb in our 20s.
Right, and the BMI index doesn't help that.
Correct.
Because
so
every
wrong.
time I would go to a doctor's office, and it's funny, when I gained lots of weight, the doctors didn't point out the BMI, maybe because they thought, she's so blown
Right.
the BMI, let's not even talk about it. But my gynecologist was the only one who talked about weight when I got heavy. But when I was skinny, every doctor talked about weight.
Right.
And I was like, one of the doctors, I yelled, like, where do you want me to?
Right.
I know what that says. I have muscles. I don't know. I'm
Right.
never going to. I starved myself to 114. That was a very important number for me in high school.
Yeah.
I just had Slim Fast shakes. So the diet was you have 2 Slim Fast shakes and a sensible dinner. But I just did 3 Slim Fast shakes.
Yeah.
And that was the slave. That was
Yeah.
that was the slave
But you
piece
realize
of it. I was serving that.
we can hold, but look how disciplined you were in being, in starving yourself.
I starved myself as a young person so much, I don't have the capability to starve myself anymore. I actually just don't have it in me.
I
It's gone.
I would starve myself, and then after I was like, all right, I'm getting under 120 after the kids were born, and I still had like 6 months, they were 6 months old. I saw my weight going down, but also I was in the hospital with our pregnancy. I had gained 15 pounds of fluid overnight because I had a hormone issue, and they had put tubes in my chest and in my stomach for 9 days to get all that fluid out, and I still was carrying 10 pounds of that fluid going into my pregnancy. So just still, I'm also making milk for 2 babies. I'm still healing from a C-section and a natural birth. And I've got a 4-inch hole in my stomach. So, and the ovarian hyperstimulation thing was going down. But I had it in my head, and also the BMI. My BMI for my size said 125. I was on the obesity side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, shoot, I want to be under 120 because that's,
Normal. That's my
I could
normal.
eat 2 pieces of pizza and be obese.
Right.
Here I am.
Right.
It's like,
And I think we're so mean to pregnant women and mothers who just have babies. We have this, and I understand that your body morphs so much it doesn't even become yours when you're pregnant.
yes.
I understand that. But we judge women so harshly on if they get back to their pre-baby body and how quickly they do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we judge it off of Hollywood or if we judge it off of, I don't know where the judge comes in that we all are marching to make sure that, you're in your size 3 jeans
Right.
a week after giving birth, but it's so unnatural.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, and again, it's one thing you gained a lot of baby weight. Well, you don't want to be 75 pounds
Right,
heavier.
right.
That's almost you again.
Right.
So that's unhealthy too. But to only serve the scale instead of serving your body and nutrition, they're 2 different
Right.
things.
Yes.
So when
yes.
I was starving myself when I was young, I was also eating McDonald's as my 1 meal a day, and my
Yeah,
1,200
I was gonna
calories
say.
was French fries and a Big Mac and a Diet Coke. And then I would starve myself all day because I was serving the diet. I was
Yes.
serving the scale.
Yes.
Right? I was not serving myself. I was
Right.
not serving my body. So when I'm talking about the idea of master and slave, it's everything becomes subordinate to something else, but it's not the whole picture.
Yes.
It's a very myopic view. So the phone is a great tool. It has GPS. It allows us to take pictures of every meal we've ever consumed.
You can pay your bills.
You can pay your bills. Like, it
You
is
can-
such an amazing tool, but it is not my tool for
Right.
some reason. I feel like I serve it. It doesn't do what I want it to do as much as I'm doing what it wants to do 50% of the
Yes.
time. Like, I'll go to pick it up and I can't do something until I do something else. And it's like,
Yes.
and part of that is my rapid fire digressions. Where if I went to go text you something because I needed to tell you something important, but I picked up my phone and there were 25 texts before you.
Yes.
I would forget that I picked up my phone to text you and
Yes.
respond to texts.
I've done that so many times. Just there's so much, you've got so many tabs open in your brain.
And I know that my sexy spouse says that there's no such thing as multitasking. And I'm like, well, I think a female brain is different than a male brain.
Yes. Yes.
And I do think that because
Yes.
women do a brunt of the child rearing, and once they have a baby, the only thing they would ever do is feed the baby and no other tasks, but everything else has to get done. So I think the multitasking is important in that capacity.
I don't think that we can multitask and give everything 100%.
No.
So I can agree on some levels that we can't multitask,
Right.
to some degree, but we've all been places, and we can be sitting here having a conversation and you can overhear parts of what they do. But I'm not 100% present. So that's the difference. I'm not 100% present here, and I'm not 100% present there either.
Right. So you're divided.
Yes. So from that perspective, yes, you can't multitask. That is true from that perspective. But no, I think that women can manage different browsers better than men. Yes, I think our brain was programmed to be that way.
Otherwise, you'd have one kid and the other kid would die.
Yes.
Well, this one is what I'm doing. I've got one thing I can do. This one.
Well, I fed the kids. I didn't know you needed it too. I mean, damn.
I didn't know everyone needed to be cleaned. I didn't know we needed laundry. I didn't know we needed soap. I didn't know, So I do think we have a capacity for that. But when I think of the phone, and I'm always blaming the phone because sometimes I'm angry that it's not my tool. I don't have control over it. But I think of, we have 15 minutes left in this hour. Even in a relationship, right? You have a relationship, say with a family member or a friend, and you were always calling them. You were always seeing them. When something has to be done, it's the thing they want to do. There's no, you exist to serve the relationship.
Yes.
And if you did not do any or all of these functions, the relationship would die.
Yes. It's one-sided. Actually, that's a good point. There's so
and
much.
I have let relationships die.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, because I test them. If I don't pick up the phone, how long will it be for us to talk?
Right.
9, 10 months until I pick up the phone to talk to you again?
It's you serving that relationship, but you're not getting, we all want feedback. And the reason why we have become slaves to these things is because it feeds us. But if you're the only one that's constantly feeding someone and not being fed, it's not a healthy relationship. And that's where, so that goes back to, you categorize 3 people, the green light, red light, or green light, yellow light, and red light. And so these people that are not getting any value and benefit doesn't mean when I red light them and get them out of my inner circle, it's not that I do it with animosity or I do it with malice. It's just, I'm doing something bigger. I'm doing something better. I want to be nourished too. I want to be valued just as much as the value that I give you. I want it to be reciprocated. It's only serving one purpose, one person. I mean,
and sometimes it can be confusing because, say, a family situation or a family dynamic. I'm required to love and not expect anything in return.
True.
Right?
Well, I don't know. As far as spouses, or are you talking about like a parental, you being a child to your
No,
parents?
I'm thinking just like you get a million family members. You've got cousins and whatever. Like you're supposed to serve your family in a lot of capacities. Like there are times that I am doing something, and I'm getting out of it that I'm giving, and this person is getting something good. I actually get something back from that.
Yes.
I don't need that person to give me something because helping them gives me something.
Yes.
And you can get in
true.
the habit of helping someone to the point where you know, there's nothing that comes in return.
Well, so this is what I said to, it made me think, this is what I said to my kids growing up. You know, I do something because that's who I want to be. That's how I want to show up. You know, when I went through a divorce, you know, people divide. You know, people divide. People get involved in your business.
They take a side.
You know, people judge you and they don't really know the whole story. Who cares? All that stuff. But, and that's a different thing, is laying down someone else's perceptions, beliefs, values, ideas. They put them on you. Laying those down. So, not that we had a bad relationship, but my ex-mother-in-law, she would say, you will always be a daughter. There will always be a hole in our family. Well, when we go do the drop-off and, you know, she's sitting there like this and ignoring me, and I just happen to knock over, and my heart is beating out of my chest just because it sucks, and there's a lot of hurt, and nobody wants to hurt, but we're doing the drop-off, and I'm like, I had a choice right there. Even right now, I can feel my heart starting to race. I went over to the window, and I just knocked on the door, and I was like, hi. My children are sitting right there, and they're watching, who is my mom going to be? They don't know it then.
Yes.
And there were times where they would struggle about wanting to go over to their dad's because they had a play date over here, and they don't want to say, you know, they don't want to hurt his feelings, or they don't do these things. Their grandfather died, and I wasn't invited to the funeral. I sent cards, my mom sent cards, my sister sent a card, my niece sent a card, and I could not be more proud of how those people have showed up. And it says, you know, it's okay. I'm choosing to do this for me. This is how I want to show up in life. You're
also being an example for your children.
I'm not expecting anything in return. But at the same time, I didn't have that conscious level of awareness to say, I'm actually doing this for my kids. It was just something that I felt overpowered that I needed to do for me. And so I would say to them several times that they would hit bumps in the road going through high school or middle school, or, you know, even interactions with other adults, teachers, people that they're a higher authority. I would just say, you know, Kayla, you know, you have to do it for you. You have to decide who you're going to be and show up as that person. And I just thought about,
that's really a great point, because
I'm not doing it for you at that point. I'm doing it because that's how I want to show up. I'm giving you a gift. I'm giving you a gift. I don't need anything in return.
Then you don't have to regret anything later for your behavior. You don't have to regret your own behavior, which was out of anger or hurt or any of the, you know,
so
low grades.
It sounds like such a simple thing.
But it's so hard in the moment.
Well, one thing that I'm proud about for me is I'm sarcastic. And I feel like,
I love that about you.
Once you cross my line, I'm like, all right, let's fight. Because I feel like I've got I'm good at debating. I feel like I'm good about pulling the logic out of all the BS like, not always, because my emotions get in the way of it, but I feel like my brain can rationalize it and being like, okay, well.
You can pick apart an argument, you can put forth a good argument.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a skill. That is an actual skill.
Well, Chris gets really mad because he's like, I don't have anything to say to that. Why do you have to go lawyer on me? So I do think, but I was always down for, like, heck yeah, I'll be a keyboard warrior. I'll get in your, you know.
I'll make my point here.
And you know, we had some ugly parts going through a divorce. Not many people don't.
Right, you have to wonder if you ever loved each other at all, if you can just walk away with nothing.
Well, if you can always just give anger, and I'm like, wait, we didn't start in hurt and hate, and I'm like, no, just because we grew apart doesn't take away, the hurt now doesn't take away the love that we had then, what we created, what we built, you know, we just grew differently. And, you know, expecting ourselves and our partner to be the same person, shame on me. You know, shame on us. But anyway, I chose, one of the things I'm proud about is that I chose that I was going to send him a happy birthday, despite what he was going to say, in a happy Father's Day. It did not matter if we were in court. We weren't, but like, it didn't matter what our circumstances were. I decided that's who I'm going to show up to be as his ex. Whether he wants to like it or not, he doesn't have to respond. But that's who I choose to be for my father, the father of my children. I'm not going to create an environment. I'm not going to do anything more to create an environment of hostility. Because that's who I want to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who he wants to be. Go be it.
Yeah. No one's stopping you.
Right. So that's how I've tried to have more and more interactions. I think it's harder when you're actually
in the throes of the emotion.
Yes.
But that's where I think grace comes from. It's like, how do you, I'm always amazed at people who have really good composure. So something happens and they don't break.
Yes.
Publicly, like whatever they're doing behind closed doors, but they can keep their composure. And I admire that because I feel like I get wobbly.
Yes.
In the composure department. Part of it is I don't have a poker face.
I could tell you some good ones about that.
You know, like part of it is I don't have a poker face, so my face is like, what? You know, like my face does 50% of the lack of composure.
My face gives me away way before my mouth does. So, like, if you watch people's body language, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Man, I actually got hot writing some of these things yesterday about master and slave, but I kind of wanted to just go down. Like, I made a list of the things that I was a master at, what I felt like I was a master at, and thought things that I'm a slave at.
Okay.
And slave was like, first I started.
Well, give me one master.
Okay. Well, I think I'm a master shopper.
Yes.
But I also think that
you have mastery over it. You can control it. It doesn't have an impulse control piece to you.
I actually think I'm a good time manager, and I am a good organizer. And so part of my sticking points for this is, to me, in my mind, a master is somebody that has it perfected. You're an expert. And then the more I kept going into it, the more I kept writing down and finding these things, I was like, okay, let's just break it down to a singularity. A master is someone who, for me, this is my definition, how I reframed it. A master is someone who is actively choosing to work on to control their mind, to control their behavior, their thoughts, their words, and their actions. A slave is someone who wants to take no ownership.
Or that they don't own the space in their head.
Excuses, justification, complaining, blame. It's always somebody else's fault is the reason why you couldn't get there.
Well, that's really good because...
I'm sorry I couldn't answer your text because I had 25 other emails to do, and it just went out in my head. So, finish what you were... I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. And say what you said again, because then it'll come back to me the exact way I want to say it.
Blame, slave, no ownership, excuses, justification, blame, complaining.
Okay. So, if you were upset because someone does something, you are a slave to other people's actions, emotions. You don't have control of your own peace if someone else can rile you up that much. Now, if someone's actively attacking you, of course you're going to be riled up.
Yes.
But if it doesn't pertain to you, and someone does something, and you're all bent out of shape, what are you a slave to their opinion for?
Yes.
In this particular matter.
Right. So, my very next thing that I wrote down after that is said, no one can make you feel anything.
1 minute.
We actually get to choose.
Yes.
We get to choose to accept it, accept that energy that you're giving me, or we are going to reject that energy.
Yeah.
And
save the rest. We're going to go to the top of the hour. Lisa and Robyn on the mic. We'll see you in a few minutes.
We'll be back.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Former President Trump's legal team is arguing the U.S. Constitution's insurrection clause does not necessarily apply to the President of the United States. Trump's lawyers reject the premise he was ever involved in an insurrection anyway, but beyond that, they say the Civil War-era clause of the 14th Amendment being used against Trump only applies to lower elected or appointed officials like congressmen, senators, and cabinet secretaries, not presidents. U.S. Supreme Court justices are set to hear arguments today in a case brought by the state of Colorado, which calls for Trump to be removed from that state's ballot over his actions preceding the January 6th U.S. Capitol riots. New Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is promising to deliver results following the failure of a GOP-led effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
We have a duty and a responsibility to take care of this issue. We have to hold the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security accountable.
Just enough Republican lawmakers defected to join Democrats in defeating the measure. The investigation into President Biden's handling of classified documents has ended, and it's unlikely the president will face charges. On Wednesday, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland informed Congress that Special Counsel Robert Hur's investigation was complete. The probe began not long after it was uncovered there were still Obama-Biden administration-era documents stored at the Penn Biden Center and at Biden's home in Delaware. Security is tight in Las Vegas.
Our Office of Intelligence and Analysis, alongside the FBI, has been assessing the threat landscape leading up to the Super Bowl.
Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, right there, announcing federal security efforts alongside local police efforts in Las Vegas Wednesday. The head of his Super Bowl halftime appearance, Usher, announcing new tour dates. It'll start in Washington, D.C. in August. This is USA News.
Every day, our brave military men and women, along with their families, make tremendous sacrifices for our freedom. Patriotic Hearts, a nonprofit organization, is dedicated to supporting these heroes and their families in their times of need. By donating your unwanted card to Patriotic Hearts, you'll be supporting job transition and job fair programs, veteran entrepreneurship, counseling, and retreats for combat veterans and their spouses. Call 800-804-7211. You'll receive a tax deduction, and we'll arrange a free pickup at your convenience. Imagine the difference you can make in the lives of those who have given so much for our country. Your car donation will directly impact military families, veterans, providing them with the support they desperately need. Call 800-804-7211. You can become a part of something bigger. Join us in our mission to uplift and honor our military community. Call 800-804-7211 to donate your unwanted card to Patriotic Hearts.
Hey Nashua, do you know there's $1 roulette at the River Casino and Sports Bar? Join us this month for all-day happy hour specials for the big game. Bring your favorite Valentine to enjoy our special chocolate heart dessert. Watch, play, win at the River Casino Sports Bar on High Street.
taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening to the second hour on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. We are talking today about master and slave relationships. And when I use the term master and slave, it came up kind of like as an audio technique, where when you're setting up speakers, you set up a master speaker, and then everything serves that. Everything is subordinate to that. When you think about your heart has a dominant master. What am I wanting to say?
I don't know. He was distracting me, so I'm sorry about that. Are we masters of our...
Oh, for your heart has a dominant heartbeat, but there is a subordinate beat that generates, and that's how atrial fibrillation comes into place, because the subordinate is not behaving subordinately. So when we're talking about it for this hour, for this purpose, we're talking about, what our actions are serving, what our emotions are serving, if things are serving us, if we're changing everything to serve it. And I had mentioned the phone because I was out at a restaurant and I was looking at every other couple in the restaurant and they were all on their phones. So here they are spending $150 to $200 to have dinner out, and they're not part of the experience at all.
You're just going through the motions. So when you're talking about it, when we talked about it before and I said, what if your mind is your ego, and what if your spirit is your muse, or your soul, however you want to call it. And so you're talking about that. You're talking about the conscious and the subconscious.
Yes.
And really, on my way over here, here was one of my random thoughts. Master or slave. I said, I know what the right answer should be for all of us.
Right. I'm the master. Well, I am the master of myself.
It's mindset.
Yeah.
It's mindset. But then that wouldn't really be a show.
Right.
If we just said one and done, it's a mindset.
You're supposed to be the master.
Yes. It's the things that we allow that control us. And the more that I was thinking about this, I'm like, wow.
Oh, but you were talking about what you think you are the master of and what you think you are the slave of.
Yes. But the more that I go down this road of my own personal journey of, personal growth, it's all tying back to this one thing. It's going to be a singularity, and I'm not sure what that singularity is yet. But I'm like, wow, every topic that we talk about, I see how it goes back to being connected. And I talk about the master and the slave. And so I was having a hard time. So I was having a hard time with my own preconceived or my own program definition of what master and slave is. Slave still kind of is the same, that you don't have any control over it. But the master is like, wow, I don't really have a lot I can write down. I could be like, I think I'm a pretty good mom. I think, I was a great phlebotomist. I was a great dental assistant. I was all of these things. But what am I really a master at? And then I'm like, so I had to redefine the word master. And I was like, well, there's nobody stopping me. So I ended up writing down. And it's, how can we always have a hard time talking about the positives about us?
Right.
I'm good at. Why do we not put that? Well, I'm not really good at that, or I don't want to do that. And you ask somebody, where do you want to eat? The first thing, or what do you like in a mate? What do you like in a partner?
Oh, we can answer that.
Well, ask every time.
We can answer that. A laundry list of all the things I want.
Boom, boom, boom. I know, but when somebody's asking you on the spot, it's the first time, well, until you've actually gone through it and done it. But how many times you're like, well, I don't want this, I don't want that. It's easier for us to
go with
tell
the
us
negative.
what we don't want. Yes, because we're programmed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so after redefining it, I wrote down, I feel like I have good intuition. I feel like I am a master at listening to my gut. Sometimes I don't always win, but I do feel like I'm good at that. I feel like that I am, I wouldn't say, see, I'm getting caught up in an old language. I'm a master dreamer.
Yes.
I'm going out for the life that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity.
You're a visionary.
Sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
Creating an environment. I feel like I am good at creating an environment.
Yes.
Physically and emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have to, I can create the space, but I can't, my vibration's not strong enough yet that I can maintain that energy level for the whole room. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have so much cheer. I don't have so much joy or good energy that it will fill everybody's cup up. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
I don't, because I need to be nourished on that too.
Yes.
And so that's an awareness to me. So whether,
and also you have to sometimes giving it all away. So I will think of the average mom. I'm going to use that label. The mom who's making sure her kids are all squared away, her household's all squared away, her spouse is all squared away. Then she goes and works outside of the house and works squared away. And like,
yes,
there is an element of who takes care of the person taking care of everyone.
Right.
And, there's an element, you could do this for fathers. Fathers are making sure that they're the boss at work. They're making sure that their family is protected and cared for.
Yes.
But I think the men in my life are fairly good at boundaries. Like, no.
Yeah.
They're really, really good at no. And I know so many women, myself included, who are terrible at no.
Yes.
Because there is the element of, well, I want to be helpful, and if I can, I will.
Yes.
And, there's that element too, but the no comes after working yourself up to be angry so I can say no.
I think we're good
instead of just no, as a boundary.
I think we are, because I think that.
Do you think that about guys, that they're good at no's? Like,
I
take the
do.
guys that you know. Do you think that they're...
I do. And I also think that, we're kind of hardwired that way. Because I think that, let's go back to cavemen. If you think about, their job was to be the strength, to be the hunter, to go out and to do the fighting, to protect your tribe and your family. You had to fight, you had to hunt, and you had to kill. So they had to have a very hard boundary, whereas women were in charge of
the soft skills.
Well, yeah, but keeping people healthy, feeding them, nourishing, nurturing. So I think that we're tapped in, and I watched it with both of my children. I think I even told the story, he would come to me and he would have a bite mark on his arm, and I would go to my daughter and say, "Are you biting him?" And she's like, "Yes." Or no. I got that backwards. He came to me one day. He was always she was always coming to me and saying, "He hit me, he hurt me, he did this." And I would always go and say, "Why are you hitting your sister? You can't be hitting your sister. Why did you bite your sister? Why did you do this?" They're 2.
Right.
Or 3.
we have no negotiation skills.
And somebody said
we have to bite and punch.
And somebody said to me,
we learn those later.
Women can read body language. Women are more intuitive right from birth, and and it didn't, whatever. I didn't get that. So one day he comes in and he's crying, and so is she. And she's like, he bit me. And he said, well, she bit me. And he pulled up his arm, and I could see her teeth marks in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Why didn't I stop and think about, do I know this kid better?
Right.
Girls can read body language, and literally the minute you showed a sad face, she would come over and love on you.
Yes.
And it just kind of, he would kind of look at you like, I'm sorry you're sad. Like, what do you want me to do about it?
I have a nephew that's unbelievably attuned. If someone is sad in the classroom, he goes over and takes
Yes,
care of them.
because he can feel that energy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm standing there and I felt horrible, like I'm a horrible mom. She had been doing the same thing to him.
But he would have been getting in trouble for it.
But I'd ask the question, did you hit your sister? Yes. But he didn't know enough to follow it up to say, well, because she hit me first or she bit me. And I'm like, ask a better question.
Yes.
And he taught me that boys are very black and white. I wouldn't say all boys are black and white, but boys growing up are very black and white. It's you tell them to do this and they go that way. It's programming. It's I have to stay on this single focus. And women are like, well, I've got all of these due, and how am I going to maximize this time so I can squeeze a little bit of me time in there? That's why I think we're good at multitasking, because at the end of the day, we just want a little bit of peace at the end of that too. I forgot where all that was
asking
going.
better questions. Is there a question to ask if you have mastery over, like, I don't feel like I have mastery over my schedule. Perfect example, this week, I have all my things, I get a phone call, hey, you need to do this on Tuesday. I rearrange all of Tuesday to be Wednesday. Later on Monday night, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. So now I have readjusted all of Tuesday so that now I have this big gap. And now Wednesday is a disaster. Like, I don't feel like I'm not a master to my schedule. I am a slave to my schedule. And someone would say, that's your fault. You just say no when someone says, this has got to be Tuesday. You say no. But I don't know what world lives, if you need a car repair and they say you can only come on Tuesday, I don't know how everyone else is saying no, it has to be Wednesday. But
call the 20 other 5 people that do it. Yeah, I mean, some things I think that you're going to always be.
But like, and I guess maybe the master and the slave are very hard terms. Like, slave comes with a very negative connotation.
Yes.
I don't want to be the slave to my schedule. I don't want to be the slave to the phone. I don't want to serve this thing.
But maybe it's a good that it has a bad connotation
so
to it.
So that it would perk you up?
Because it's the same thing that we talk about when we talk about addiction, to whether it's drug, alcohol,
food,
codependency, food, any of those things. Somebody said to me that if you are not changing, you're choosing. And if you have an awareness, so like once you know better, you don't have a freaking excuse to not do better. It takes away, once you have to me.
Well, ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
So if you're not ignorant to this and you're not doing it, you've made the choice.
Yeah. So you've made the choice.
And you can justify it. I don't, donuts are bad for me. I'm on a diet. I shouldn't be eating donuts if I'm on a diet.
Yes.
I'm trying to lose weight. Donuts are not going to help me lose weight. Yeah, but I really want a donut, but I had a bad day.
Yes.
But, they're really good. They're the special donuts from so-and-so.
It's funny that you say donuts, because my second thing under slave is a good donut.
Well, it's really funny. The other day I had an awesome donut, and I almost was like, well, this isn't serving your goal. And then I'm like, yeah, but it's a very specific bakery, and it's a very specific donut.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to eat it.
It's not like, oh, I'm just any donut will do. Now, I love.
But maybe the slavery is you're just shoveling donuts. They don't
Yes.
even have to be good donuts. That's how I feel about cookies.
Oh,
The cookies got to be worth it.
Yes.
The donut was worth it.
Well, back to that whole thing about when we're talking about the weight in the beginning and the marker and the 120.
Yeah.
This is how ignorant, this is how your mindset is. I was like, I'm determined. I'm going to lose this baby weight and I'm going to get under 120, but I still want to eat my cookies. So I would you know, the cookie dough, I figured out exactly what 2 cookies, the size and everything would be calorie-wise. I would go downstairs and get on my recumbent bike, and I would pedal. I was burning rubber. So then I didn't feel like that was my way of giving myself permission. Because I'm like, all right, I'm going to work for it. If I'm going to have it, I'm going to work for it. I'm going to balance it out.
So I was
it juvenile to think do it that way? But it worked.
You were having your cake and your cookie too.
Yeah.
You were having your scale and
Why
your cookie
not both?
too. Exactly. I was I get vitamin D shots at this office, and she was quoted in a magazine, and they said the article headline was "Ditch the Gym and XYZ." There's this new drug that they use for insulin resistance, and they're using it to help people with weight loss. It's like literally, and if you're diabetic, it's super helpful, but people are using it who are not diabetic, which is causing the medicine cost to go up.
Yes,
and anyways,
yes.
the article she was showing me, she goes, I did not say ditch the gym. What I said was, but that doesn't make a good headline, right, from a doctor. What she said was, people overestimate how many calories they burn at the gym, and they underestimate how many calories they're eating. So they think, I went to the gym, I'm going to have this. I went to the gym. You have 2 sodas. You have probably had the same amount of calories as you burned. Because you think you burned 800 calories, you burned 328.
Right, then you go get a big gulp, and it's 600 calories for the big gulp.
So that was
You're
her point on that.
And it's all sugar.
Yeah, and that was her point on that. But they quoted her as saying, this doctor said, ditch the gym and do this weight loss drug. And she was like, I was not saying that at all, but they put it out. And I said, I know you would never say that. And what you said is really true. And I was thinking about that. How many times do you think you've burned, I burned 600 calories so I can have cake. I burned 800 calories so I can have whatever. The turkey trot at the beginning of every Thanksgiving. I'm going to go run 5K because I'm going to have pudding. I'm going to have a pumpkin pie later on.
We tell we tell ourselves
justifications.
Yeah, we tell ourselves these little lies. So guess again, what are you feeding?
Oh, okay.
So to me, the slavery is your ego.
Maybe. And I do agree that, because I think the ego is everything. I think the ego is the problem for everything. But when I think of slavery, sometimes I think it's from not being good enough.
Well, yeah, so I actually put down for what am
not
I...
your phone, per
so
se.
I think that some of the things that I am a slave to, insecurities, self-worth, ego, because I think we all battle ego.
Yeah, I think we all battle all of those things, actually.
Clothes. I also said clothes and pizza.
Shoes.
Words. Oh,
Cookies.
yeah, shoes, yes. In my self-image. My self-image and my self-worth.
So sometimes I think, like, I've been really thinking a lot, because you've been talking about the ego with the muse and all of that, and I've been thinking about that a lot, and I've been thinking that sometimes we need the ego.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So sometimes the ego is, who the hell wants to stand up in front of a group of people and speak?
Right.
No one.
Well, yes.
Public speaking is there with death and taxes and of what you don't want to do, right? So you need to, like, improve your ego so that you know you have enough confidence to do the thing you were going to do.
Yes, yes.
And so when I think of, like, sometimes I think on the master-slave, the slavery piece of it is from another emotion of, I'm not good enough, so I have to do more.
Yes.
I'm not good enough, so I have to do this thing. If it's if it's a conscious thing. If it's unconscious, it could just be a habit. You know, I always have dessert after dinner. I like something sweet after I eat.
I do too. And also, I think that it triggers your brain too, that you're full. But and so yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think that. I think ego is good.
I've been luring the cat. Because once the cat, I will never move a sleeping cat. I will never upset it. I will hold having to pee for 2 hours. Right? I will hurt my bladder because the cat's sleeping.
Yes.
And John's like, the cat sleeps 23 hours a day. It'll be fine. I'm like, no, don't disturb the cat. So now I've been luring the cat because I can't get up and then have a snack.
Yes.
So if I don't get my snack and immediately sit down, like my little bowl of ice cream and sit down,
it's not gonna happen.
Then I'm going to miss my. That's what I'm using something to try to change the habit from always having something sweet after dinner.
Yeah. So what I did was I got tired of riding the recumbent bike, and I just it's like. So what I did was I like Raisinets.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are a little bit chewy and they have just a little bit, they have the right amount of chocolate on it. So I've chosen things like Raisinets, so when I want something sweet after dinner, I'll go and get, you know, a handful of them, like 12 Raisinets or 10 Raisinets, and it satisfies that sweetness for me. Sometimes it's, you know, I like Milk Duds too because I love chocolate and caramel, but
my problem is anything that you have a couple of, I just perpetually do. So chips, I don't know how people put a bowl of chips.
So I take it out of the room.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can get up and go back in the room.
You can.
So that's the thing. I'm a shoveler, for lack of a better word. I can, you know, anything that requires jelly beans, I can just.
Oh God, Jelly
Cool
Bellies.
Ranch Doritos.
Yes.
You know, anything that requires.
I'm on the hot Pringles kick right now.
I don't even want to try any new
Oh, they
flavor
have the scorching
chips.
cheddar and the scorching sour cream is really good in the adobo or whatever it is.
So when people say, "Oh, did you try the new Doritos?" I'm like, "No, I don't need to like more Doritos. No, I don't want to like more Pringles. I already like Pringles. I don't need to like more Pringles."
So that's what I do. So coming from a place of feeling like what I think keeps us stuck in that slavery mindset and where ego becomes bad is when we don't try to master it, when we know our flaws. So that's where, and I think, because I do think that we need ego. I couldn't put it over on my master side because I'm not in control of it.
Yes.
I have an awareness and I am working on it. So, but it's still not going to go in that column.
Yes.
Because there's things. So that's the trick that I did. If I take a little, we have the little dipping sauce bowls, and I will fill that up with my little candies or whatever. And if I eat those slow or I do that, and then I go upstairs, and then the cat's on my lap. Do I really want to go downstairs?
Yeah.
And I said to Chris, like, a lot of times he would be so ravenous when we get home, and he would just eat, and like, wow, your metabolism is slowed down. You can't really eat that much. I'm like, just eat slower. In 20 minutes. He's like, try this. And I'm like, just wait 20 minutes. And if I wait long enough, so if I go and get the chips, if I get my allotted amount of chips, I put them away and don't see them, and here's my little pile, I somehow end up eating them slower.
Yeah, because you're trying to savor them.
Well, yeah, I'll take a bite, and then I'll go on and do something, or like I'll like to have a cup, if I haven't eaten much while I'm making dinner or prepping for dinner, I'll go and get a little handful of chips out, and then I pick at them. And
well, yesterday, because my day was so busy, I didn't have a lunch. So I had a very, very late breakfast, and then by the time I got home, it was just before 5 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I have some chips left over from the weekend. And I was like, nope, I'm going to have an apple.
No.
I had an apple instead.
Good for you.
Well, with working out, too,
yes.
You know, chips don't feed your muscles. Chips aren't. That's the one thing about working out I backdoor into eating better.
Yeah.
Because I just can't sustain hard workouts on trashy food.
That's true.
So I remember, you know, like, yeah, you can want McDonald's, but the next day your workout, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it extra sucks.
See, that's where, that's how I negotiate, because I don't want to
deprive yourself.
Yes. And
so that was the thing about starving myself. I starved myself so much under 30 that I no longer have the capability to starve myself now.
Yeah.
Something broke in my brain that said, this wasn't useful or worthwhile.
But it goes back to that thing about you've actually stopped doing something that harms you and starts doing something that serves you. And like, now that I know it, now that I have that knowing, like me riding my bike for the 2 cookies, the calorie-wise for the 2 cookies, to me that was the beginning of my awareness of my journey. Didn't say it was perfect, but that was an awareness. So maybe my body was, my subconscious was aware of it before my unconscious. And so now, or
before your conscious
before
mind.
my conscious mind was doing it. And I think we actually all can go back and say, if you really think about it, you've done it so much now that your conscious is aware of, like, nope, I am not going to let you do that. You have become a master at this. I'm not going to let you be a slave to that again. And that's the way I like to think about it. And so that's
Yeah,
where your ego, that is where, I think that is, you could say that's where your ego steps in.
Yeah, because it's so funny, because if I say I want to lose some pounds, everybody wants to say, well, you just have to skip a meal. And I'm like, I'm not skipping meals.
No.
Every time I skip a meal, it's a disaster. Because I overeat
well, that
the
was
next
my
meal.
way. I don't want to
like,
deprive myself.
I skipped 2 meals a day, 7 days a week, while my body was trying to grow from 12 to 30. I'm not freaking skipping any more meals. I'm not doing intermittent fasting. Like, I feel like this, because I tried intermittent fasting, I was a lunatic.
Yeah.
I was a lunatic to go 16 hours without food. And, just because
Me
Joe
too.
Rogan says it needs to be done, good for Joe Rogan. He's got different testosterone levels than I do or something.
Right.
Like, but John can skip breakfast completely altogether. And I know a lot of people who don't even like to eat breakfast because they're nauseous in the morning.
I can skip breakfast.
When I do, I'm a lunatic by lunch. I am mentally a lunatic by lunch.
Yeah. Because your body is, so also, I think we train our metabolism. But like, I'm usually not hungry, and on the weekends when everybody's home and I'll make a big breakfast, it's usually around 10:30 or 11, so it's kind of more of a
Then
brunch.
how do you eat lunch? What time do you eat lunch?
We don't, because by the time I'm finished and done, it's like 11:30, and nobody is, everybody starts getting hungry around 5 or so. So, by the time that's done, we eat at 6. And then there's dessert. So I got my 3 meals
So I'm
a day.
definitely a slave to my schedule. We have a terrible schedule. Well, sexy spouse commutes. So,
Yeah.
You're not eating dinner till 7:30 at night, barely.
Yeah.
So, okay, now you're going to have something at 11, and then when I'm doing a snacking.
Yeah.
So what I do is I eat food, and then my dinner that I've just spent all this energy making, even though I'm not hungry, I'm eating it.
Yes.
But I've also
Like,
eaten
I
two
put a
in it.
lot of energy into this meal. Actually, I made that chicken parm last night.
Did you? Was it
was
good?
Yes. I got the breadcrumbs that had the Italian seasoning
Yes,
on it.
that's good.
I felt it was a
You
little
need
bit over.
Progresso.
I did get Progresso,
Okay.
but it was a little bit overpowering.
Really?
Mine did. I didn't taste the same. They didn't taste the same.
Okay.
But crispy nut wise, it was good.
Okay.
That was a rapid fire transgression
Yeah.
moment right there.
I made chicken cutlets. So we went to Crotchet Mountain over the weekend to do Midnight Madness. We had so much fun, but I had everyone over my house for a normal dinner because I didn't want to eat unknown food and then be covered in ski clothes on the side of a mountain. Like, I
Yes.
wanted to be like, no, this is known food. It's delicious food.
And I think it was good because the pasta and the chicken, you had enough. It was filling, and it was just. I didn't get off the mountain thinking like, oh my God, I'm starving.
Right. And I'm also not so full I can't now go move around too.
But I did think, wow, on the way home I could go for some hot French fries.
So I made brownies.
It's a good thing we live where we live.
Right. I made brownies that no one ate. And then on the way home, my brother-in-law's texting, those brownies would be so good right now.
And
I was like, I brought them to the mountain for everyone to have, and then I just forgot to hand them out.
And I'm like, oh, and there were strawberries in there, and those strawberries looked good. I wanted to go back to what we're talking about for, we had started at the top of the hour getting ready to talk about a little bit about the ego.
And before you do that, you were listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And what is our horrible ego doing now?
Ego. Well, so the reasons why I think that being a master, I think at the end of the day, if you can master your emotions, you can master anything. And I think that that is the battle.
Mm-hmm.
If you take all the things, we just have a lot of different adjectives in it. But if I do this, if I'm a slave to this because this is giving me a good feeling, okay, what if we rewrite the narrative and change our outlook? Who are we feeding? If we ask that question,
who does this serve? Does this serve me? And the reason why I'm terming it the way I'm terming it, I'm coining that term that way, is if I think about the heart has a master rhythm and it has a subordinate rhythm,
Yes.
right? So that second rhythm is supposed to be a slave to whatever the first rhythm is doing, that master rhythm. When that doesn't work right, you get mayhem. You have a heart attack.
Yes.
Right? It's mayhem.
Chaos.
So there is supposed to be a relational order to things. And if my phone is my tool, perfect. If food is serving me, if work is serving me, if my relationships are serving me, and that sounds like it comes from a very selfish point, because, you know, you go to yoga and the last thing they say when you're in savasana is let go of everything that doesn't serve you. And half the time I think, well, it all doesn't serve me. You know, traffic doesn't serve anyone.
It's true.
Right? So then I get that literal weird person in me that just wants to argue, you know.
Right. Excessive body hair doesn't serve anybody. Like, you should just get to a point in age and be like, or at least that I think the human species should have evolved enough that says, wow, we don't need that arm hair. We don't need that much leg hair. We actually have heating and cooling that we don't need to.
Right.
Like, what purpose does leg hair serve anymore?
Right.
You think like microevolution, you know, like
would have done that, would have got that out. And maybe we were hairier than we are.
Like, I mean, apparently snakes had legs, and, you know, they've lost their legs because apparently that worked better for them. Well, way back, there's an argument that says, like, when they were first born, they might have had legs. I don't know.
Like a lizard?
Maybe.
Interesting.
Like a gecko? Yeah. But, you know, microevolution, like when you...
So this is, you know how I'm always, like, getting nervous that, you know, I don't know anything. Pluto's no longer a planet.
Right.
Snakes had legs. I don't know anything. How am I going to go out in the world tomorrow?
I just threw that out there. Like, I feel like somewhere, I mean, I could have made it up a long time ago, but I heard it somewhere.
Or I read it somewhere.
So a better way of microevolution is people that live in higher altitudes have a greater lung capacity.
Yes.
So, I mean, they evolve.
I'm just being fresh.
Well, so really, tell me, what is the purpose of leg hair?
None.
Right. And yet we still have to shave it every freaking day.
Imagine if guys had no leg hair.
I do. I get goosebumps. I shave my legs. They're nice and all smooth. And I get goosebumps, and I'm like,
right,
like a puffer fish.
Right.
And now I got to shave all over again. Like a porcupine that just went, boop. Just popped right out. Anywho.
Ego.
So listen, ego. So this is what led me to talking about master and slave, and the thing that for me, I'm going to try is your soul, for me, soul versus ego.
Yes, I love this.
Instead of master slave.
Yes.
So some of the things that I found, signs of mental slavery, stopping yourself from being happy. How many times do we don't choose joy? You know, I made a post the other day on Facebook, and it's called the Trouble Tree.
That's really good.
And he's talking about how, and the guy asked him, why do you go and touch that tree every night?
That made me cry. That almost made me cry.
It just was a good reminder, and it came up. It came up on my news feed as a memory, and I was like, yeah, this one's going to go again. I'm just going to say something in the beginning of it. But to me, I thought it was good because Chris and I were talking the other day. I actually want to get a sign at the door when you walk into our garage. Check your shit at the door.
Yes.
Don't bring it home. Don't leave it. Don't leave it. And not just for him. Like, it's I'm just saying it as a good...
Because worry doesn't serve us.
It's a good reminder. Like, hey, I'm walking into a new space. You know, you wouldn't get... You know, say you're a doctor and you just went in and had, you know, an aggressive patient, and that got you off. They're screaming and yelling and cussing at you and telling they're going to take your license from you and blah, blah, blah. Are you going to take that next energy into the old lady that's just here for, you know, that she might be diagnosed as breast cancer? Are you going to take that same energy into there? Or, you know, you're in sales and somebody is really rude to you and they're your next phone call. Are you going to be rude to that next person? We're always subconsciously checking how we're showing up for other people, but yet we don't show up for our family like that sometimes.
Well, sometimes I think, and I believe this wholeheartedly in general about everybody, sometimes we can be our best selves in front of strangers.
Yes.
Because we know I can just be myself and I don't have to pretend and I can just be myself in front of you. You're my friend.
Yes.
Right? But we want to make sure that strangers aren't getting the best of us.
Right.
And my friend is getting the lazy
scraps.
worst of, the scraps of me. Right?
I'm getting the leftovers of your day.
After your energy just went to
Right.
giving everyone the best of you.
Well, so I think that, and again, I made, your environment is everything. I was talking about the one bad apple, will rot the whole barrel. And going down this, thinking about this, I was thinking about, and I went to both of my kids and I just said, I'm really proud of the way you guys show up, that way you show up in life. No matter what's going on in your day, when we come to the table at dinner as a unit, you guys all lay it down. And, I've had a bad day. You don't wear your emotions out on everybody. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm very proud of you, and I admire that in you. And
That's amazing.
It realized, because goes back to misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
Ego doesn't want to be in the light. It's comfortable in the shadows because that's where it resides, in anger, in fear, anxiety. It's anything that will keep us in the comfortable spot, because it knows that if you go outside of that, then it doesn't have control over you. So I thought that was interesting. So signs of mental stopping yourself from being happy.
So the other day when I wrote, "This is how I'm not nice to myself, I will skip the workout." And I actually wrote it on my schedule because my schedule looked really busy. And I'm like, oh, there's no time. And then I was like, nope, this is you not being nice to yourself. Oh, very easy to put on sneakers and go downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm not the slave to my schedule. I'm not the slave to work. It serves me for a function. But that is going to be my, you said better questions, ask better questions. Who's the master, who's the slave?
Yeah.
And you can do it by a scenario, you can do it by and I say it with the phone all the time, because when we went on vacation, where did we go recently? Wherever we went, everyone was sitting on their phone, and it's like, you're in front of this fire pit. It wasn't Crotchet, but you're here, and you're not here. That's stealing.
Yeah.
You spent all this money on vacation, and you can look at your phone anywhere. Mm-hmm. You can't sit in this fire pit, under this whatever, at this hotel. They're spending $300 million on this hotel with water features, and you're on your
missing
phone.
It. Yes. It's part of the reason why I think I told you when we were in St. Lucia and I was struggling with that whole topless thing, and what my deciding factor was, there was a lady, late 40s, maybe early 50s, they're on vacation together, and every day I'd seen her husband bury his nose in a book. And I'm like, man, you have this beautiful beach, you have this beautiful woman sitting beside you, and like,
I know, but I'm a reader at the beach, so.
Well, I'm a reader at the beach too. And so what Chris and I did, he was reading a book, and I just said, will you read it aloud to me? Mm-hmm. And we just took turns reading it out loud to each other. Happens to be one I was interested in, but you can set time blocks for it. But then you see him again at dinner.
Same thing.
He's on their phone. Yeah. And so when I went over and I saw that she had taken her top off, I was like, I'm buying you a drink. Mm-hmm. And I went over and I gave them a drink, and I gave him his beer, and he pulled his head out, and all that time he didn't even know his wife was sitting there topless. Like,
that's pretty oblivious. We can't be oblivious.
I'll love on your woman for you.
Right, right.
Hold my beer.
Right, right.
So also,
oblivion.
Putting yourself down and letting ego or emotions take over. These are signs that you are a mental slavery.
Okay.
Lacking self-control, mental discipline.
Can we talk about impulse control for a second?
Yes.
I had read something about impulse control, and I thought, we think, oh, I don't want to hit you, or like just, little kids with impulse control. I think it was because I was something with little kids and how they, below a certain age, they actually can't control their impulse.
Yes.
But then you teach them in small increments, which is where the timeout came.
Yes.
5 seconds for a certain age.
Yes.
55 minutes for someone another age.
Gentle touch.
Right. And I was thinking, how much of lack of impulse control comes from boredom? How many fights do spouses start with their spouses out of boredom? How much, like, just to get themselves aroused, not aroused sexually, but to like almost like wake up their body, because because being angry, you're awake when you're angry. You're not tired and angry.
Right.
But, and to go back to the impulse control, because how many times do you do something and when you ask yourself, why did you really do that? I think maybe I was bored. How many fights start between spouses because of boredom?
Probably a lot.
I think a lot.
I do too. I think if you actually, and I wrote some stuff down about, again, the lobster. Jordan Peterson talks about the lobster, and I posted it on our Facebook page. It's like a 5-minute, it's like a 5-minute blurb, but he talks about the physical changes to our body and how we actually get addicted to the emotions. And people create drama, whether they're bored and all of these things.
And that's what I meant about the spouses start. Like, they just need something, you know, to get going in. So if they make themselves like angry, they can wake themselves up, or it's an emotion that's familiar. I think why societally, that's not a word. I think that the reason why society is as angry as it is it's a feeling that is easy. There's a lot to be angry about, sure. But there's also a lot to be happy about. There is a lot to be happy about.
Oh, the way you said it, you know, it just made me think. It's easier to float downstream than it is to swim
upstream. It's exhausting.
And so everybody is going with the flow.
Right.
You're just flowing with the current.
Right.
It's harder to swim against the current. And fighting your ego, I think, is swimming against the current.
And like I always say, anger is a low-grade motivator. If you're angry, you can take action.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just angry with no action attached to it.
Well, right. Again, it goes back to the tool. Anger can be a good tool.
Or it's a weapon.
Or it's a weapon.
I love that.
And
It's
you
probably
think
my
about
favorite thing
impulse control. Is that T-shirt material?
Yes.
We have to do our T-shirts and do our logo.
Yeah.
Anyway, side note. I literally do feel like we get into a conversation and I forget that the camera's rolling. But when you said impulse control, you know, sometimes when we're very, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but the truth of the matter is a lot of times when we are immature in our ability to control our emotions, what we do is, okay, I've been in sales all day. Just an example. I've been in sales all day and I've had a lot of no's. I've got people that have let me down, didn't hold their word, you know, we lost a sale, blah, 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 whatever makes that day really, really stressful. Then we walk in the door and we wear that anger out. Everything that we've been feeling, to me, that's impulse control. Oh, this is a safe space, so I'm going to vomit all over you.
Right. And I've been dying to yell at all the people all day long, so I'm going to yell at you.
Yeah, so, but
I'm going to pick something to yell at you
How
about.
many arguments start from we are walking in the door? In relationships.
Projected anger, it's like projection.
Yes.
So when we're first in love with people, we project who we want them to be on them.
Right.
But you can also project something negative on someone that's not there either.
But I think that's all what people do nowadays.
Yes.
When it goes back to, you know, misery loves company, again, ego likes to, you know, ego is fear. I forgot where I was. I thought I had my fingertip on it. You know, it likes to reside in the shadows. And I feel like, how many times do we go and vomit on the people that we love the most? Or we let that go? Instead of, that's why I wrote that thing about, it's not why I wrote the thing, it's why I said it today, about it's a good reminder to, like, you know, check your stuff at the door. You're getting ready to walk into a new environment.
Transition. You know, I'm always joking that if something happens at the radio station and I'm required to go on air from here to here, I don't do well because I need a transition.
Yeah.
I need a space
Yes.
where I can settle that previous energy and start with my new energy.
Yes.
Otherwise, this bleeds over into this. We don't
Yes.
have the transition. So it's almost like walking through the garage, right?
Right.
Can be a transition
Right.
zone.
Well, I mean, say you're a cop and you've been, pulling
Dealing with stuff all day.
drug addicts off the street, and somebody tried to shoot you and all this stuff, and you have all this pent up anxiety and energy, and then you've got to go home and tuck your kids in at night. Are you going to show them that side of you?
Yeah.
It's the same way every day. You decide, who are you going to show up as? Are you going to show up as a lover? Are you going to show up as a fighter? Are you going to show up as the salesperson?
Right.
Are you going to show up as a boss? What are you
In
doing?
sports, we always used to be like, shake it off. And you used to literally just go like get it off.
But sometimes that actually can just
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah, get it off, shake it off.
So I found something that it says, mental slavery is when emotions and ego take over your intelligence, your wisdom, and your core values. And it makes you step out of your integrity. And I was like, well, that's slavery because we have no control over it, right?
Yep.
If we're allowing
Something
to
else
operate.
is controlling us.
Yes.
Something else is controlling our emotions. Something else is controlling our actions.
Yes.
Yes.
So the energy, to me, the energy that you put out in your vibration, that's your soul work, that's your muse. The other things that don't make us want to step outside of our comfort zone is fear. It's fear, insecurities. It's all the things that like to lurk in the dark. Is to keep us from being who we are, worrying about what outfit we're going to wear or what somebody's feedback is going to be. It says I wrote this down just thinking, that was my random thought. Once you realize that you're your own ticket out of hell, what do? If you don't realize that somebody else is coming to save you,
Yes.
No
one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you.
You're in that stinky job.
No one is coming to save you.
Because that's your choice. If you're not changing, you're choosing. So I just I liked that. If you stop blaming other people for your emotional state and you stop making
Maybe
excuses.
what makes your job so stinky is you.
Yes.
Maybe if you were less stinky at your job.
Yes.
And you had a less stinky attitude at your job, the job could be a little bit better.
Yes.
I went to this business and this woman was just lovely. And I thought, God, it must be a joy to work next to her. She was lovely to everyone on the phone, lovely to everyone who came in. And I was like, man, this must just be a great place to work because you're next to her.
Yeah. So, my daughter came home and she's working at an oral surgeon's office, and she just said, I just think it is I've had such a great day. Yesterday she had a really, really bad day. A lot of angry people, patients, just bleh, and you can't bring them out of them. And she said, I absolutely loved my day today. And she's the best part of my day is when somebody comes in and they don't really, they're nervous and you got to talk to them about money and they're fussy and grouchy. And the next thing you do, they're laughing and they're thanking you for coming in the door. And I cannot tell you how many times I had said to her when I was coming home and telling stories about my patients, and how it's such a good feeling, like you are on this high because you've made somebody smile. And hearing her say that, and she's like, that's the best part of my day. I love it. And she said, she said, one of the doctors just said, she's like, you're so good. And she said, all your patients love you. And she said, you just need to pick your pace up just a little bit. God, my boss told me that all the time.
Yep.
But I also said there were also times where I would spend 20 minutes with this patient and then I would only spend 5 with this one because
This person didn't need 20.
Right.
This
Or
person
you
didn't
just
need
know
20.
that you're not giving my
Yeah.
you're not getting my glitter.
Yeah. You're not going home with stripper dust on you.
I'm not sharing with you today. Yes. So my other random thought. Oh my gosh, we're not gonna run out of time because I want to get so through this. We are my random thought. We are willing to hurt the people we love than fight our own demons.
Oh.
We're so easy to attack. We're so easy to attack and defend our pride, our ego, than we are to say, hey, wait a minute, I know how I get when I get ugly. I don't want to show that. I need to protect I need to protect that person from them. We do it for some people.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly would never talk to your grandmother the way that you talk to, you know,
my grandmother, I don't know.
Dick at the
yes,
checkout.
Yes.
And you would never talk to a client the way that you talk to your spouse sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say about, like, sometimes strangers get the best of us, and I never want that to happen. I never want the strangers to get the better part of me. I want the people I love to have the better part of me.
Yes,
I want them to have more. You know, it's easy, and this is a random thought, but it kind of goes with it. I have always been the face that people feel like they could tell anything to.
Yeah.
I was on a train. This woman told me about how she's going to her cancer treatment, and no one in her family knew she had cancer. She was doing these treatments on her own. And I always thought it's so, at first it was like, why do people tell me the most intimate details of their life? And then I realized 50% of it is not even me. It's to be able to tell something to someone without judgment back.
But people can tell that you're open.
Maybe.
So yesterday I was in a consignment shop, and I've just been noticing, because years ago Chris had said to me, you have a wall when you go out in the public. And I do. I didn't make eye contact for the long time. I don't want to, you know, I'm
aggressively friendly.
I don't want to see who's, but I was looking at, you know, I was just looking at the display. They have these, you know, name brand jewelry things behind the glass cabinet. And I was just looking through there, and this woman is standing there beside me. A guy is talking to the owner. He comes in. He's a salesman for solar panels. And we both just kind of looked at each other, and we ended up having this long conversation about how they're not worth it. And she told me about what you were saying about how what a nightmare it is to take them off, and if you want to get them taken down and disposed of. So I was telling her all of this stuff, and like we got in this conversation. Next thing you know, I know that she's got 4 kids. 2 are in college, one's married, one's in California, and one's down in New Mexico. And you know, I know her story. She's been divorced twice, and all over solar panels and the thing. And it's like, because people know that you're open. Mm-hmm. And you're willing to receive. I think people can feel your energy.
I also think there is something freeing about telling someone something, them not holding judgment over you, and also them never doing anything with it.
Right.
That's why therapists are so amazing.
Yes. Well, so here's a question for you. Do you think someone makes you feel shame or guilt?
No, I think you feel it, and someone's just touching
touching your trigger point. So it's like
touching your button.
Yeah. So I just said, nobody can make.
And that's why it's not fair when you're vulnerable, and in a relationship someone knows your button, and to win a fight someone presses that button because they just want to win. I'm just going to press that part that.
Well, that's what I was talking about when you're puking on somebody, you know, their emotional storm. They want you to share in it, or they're blaming you for their ouch. The truth of the matter is, I can't make you feel shame if you haven't already felt it, and that's something that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up. Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, every Thursday 10 to noon Eastern Standard Time. Go out in the world, be aggressively friendly, aggressively kind, and be careful of your master and your slave.
Yes.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA News, I'm Corey Myers. President Joe Biden skipping a Super Bowl interview for the second